Vandita, what motivated you to pursue a career in civil services?
So first tell me, what is the difference between assessment and evaluation?
The Forest Conservation Act was amended. Are you aware of the changes that have been brought in?
What is the difference between literacy versus education?
How do you see the contribution of Delhi metro system in solving the traffic congestion?
May I come in, sir?
Yes, come in.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
ma'am.
Please be seated.
Thank you, sir.
Please give a brief introduction about yourself.
Sir, my name is Vandita and I have done my schooling from Delhi. I also hail from Delhi only. And I have completed my graduation from Zakir Hussain Delhi College. I have done BSc in Zoology Honours. After that, I have completed Bachelor's in Education from Chaudhry Charan Singh University. And then from then on, I started preparing for UPSC Civil Services. And this is my third attempt.
Vandita, what motivated you to pursue a career in civil services?
So I was very inspired with the amount of opportunities a person gets in these services. And also it is a very respectable services, and my parents also pushed me for this. So from there on I got
Okay. Suppose you think yourself to be a member of Indian bureaucracy. In which areas would you like to work and why?
Sir, in women issues is my first preference because I am very passionate about women and their rights. And second would be education.
Women issues and education. You are a girl from Delhi.
Yes, sir.
Women's safety is one of the concerns of Delhi. So what are the issues or what are the challenges faced by women in Delhi and what are the possible solutions?
So this is true that Delhi is very infamously known for the crime against women. The national crime rate against women in Delhi. In national crime rate as in is 64 crimes per lakh population, but in Delhi it becomes 144 crimes per lakh of population. So the safety is one of the major issues that Delhi women face over here. And second is the mobility issues that women face, because that is where most of the crimes occur during public transportation or during in buses or metros there.
So what is the solution?
So solution is one is of course that one of the prime reason for this is that there is excessive of overcrowding, which gives a opportunity to perpetrators for this crime. And second is that the regulation, the law and order situation, and the crime closure rate, the case closure rate is very low in Delhi. That is.
Could you share or list some of the laws which protect the interest of women?
So first is protection of women at workplaces, sexual harassment case there. Second is the Prohibition of Domestic Violence Act. Third is the POCSO Act especially for children. These are some of these.
These are the laws. So what do you think? There is no dearth of laws in our country.
Yes, sir.
What is the problem? If the law is not properly executed, or what issue is there?
Sir, I think there are two types of issues due to which the laws, though we have them in the theory, they don't get reflected on the ground level. The first thing is the society, the social conditioning that we have, the gender inequality and patriarchy, which is perpetuated and ingrained in our society. That is one of the reasons that laws are not very effective here. And second is that to ensure that laws are implemented truly, we require a very robust criminal prosecution system, which requires the police and the criminal justice system, everything to work in synchrony.
Okay. You are a girl from Delhi. Besides the women's safety issue which we have just now discussed, what other issues you face as a resident of Delhi?
So as resident of Delhi, the next issue that I would like to highlight is the overcrowding of the urban areas. Like 45% of the Delhi population lives in slums and unauthorized colonies. That is another issue. And third issue is the vehicular congestion. There are 472 vehicles per 1,000 population of the Delhi. And this is the reason that we see a lot of congestion on roads and log jams.
Apart from the issues which we have just now discussed, The issue of landfill is also a
Yes,
issue of
that is
concern.
very also big
So,
important issue.
what is the possible solution to get rid of this landfill issue?
Sir, first and the primary issue, foremost solution for this is to ensure segregation of waste at households level. In Delhi, we don't have a very prominent system where the wastes are segregated. The biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste is not being segregated. That is one of the issue. Second issue is that we need to think of more innovative solutions like bioremediation and green solutions like use of bacteria and phytoremediation for this.
What do you mean by waste to energy?
So by waste to energy, we mean that we convert the biodegradable waste. The methane is generated from these biodegradable waste and it is used as a source of energy.
Do you think it's a successful experiment in Delhi?
Sir, although it is been running at a pilot project only in some places, but if at full level we are able to convert it, then it would be a potent solution.
Okay, thank you.
Vandita.
Yes, ma'am.
So, as you are a prospective teacher, also, I could see as you have done B.Ed,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So, tell me, Vandita, the education is very important, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And evaluation and assessment part is equally important. So, first tell me what is the difference between assessment and evaluation?
Ma'am, evaluation is a more broader concept, while assessment is only limited to the literary aspects and the what child has learned and what we see in the test exams. Whereas while we talk about the evaluation, it is about measuring the learning outcomes and the behavioral changes that a child gets during the process of education.
Yes. What is CCE?
Ma'am, CC is comprehensive and continuous evaluation.
Right. Tell me that why this PM Shri schools are pitching up.
Ma'am, main motto of PM Shri schools is to revamp the infrastructure of these schools so that we can build inclusive and equitable schools for everyone. And these schools, not only in infrastructure, but the curriculum and the teaching pedagogy is such that the focus is more on learning outcomes and behavioral changes in these students rather than only the pass percentages and
How one can measure the outcomes?
Ma'am, measuring the learning outcome is a very broad thing and it requires that a child is continuously screened and observed by the student, and there is also a provision for one-to-one mentoring by the teacher. So to ensure that we assess the learning outcome of a child, we need to make sure that what the child learns, he is able to exercise it in its daily life as well. It should not be like that we teach children about the cleanliness and about pollution, but outside the class the child is littering. So that is
Fine. These days there has been immense pressure on each child, right? So what could be done, in our education system, that a child feels less pressurized and his or her inner ability comes out through the education system?
Ma'am, the cutthroat competition that is prevailing in the education has resulted in a very much of pressure on these students, and we see it in the news that we get about the suicides and all about the children.
But it is inevitable. This cutthroat competition is being, it's everybody is talking about, being parents, teacher, everyone, and child itself also.
Ma'am, the problem is not about the competition. The problem is how we handle that competition and how we perceive failure. The cost of failure that child perceives is very huge, and especially when it comes to exams like JEE and NEET. He is more afraid of being called as a failure than being of competition.
Okay.
That is
National Education Policy, NEP 2020, right? And the policy which came in 1986, what are the differences between the two?
Ma'am, NEP 2020, it majorly focuses on the vocationalization of the education, and it focuses on the overall holistic development of the child, which
earlier policy also has spoken on vocational training. Remember Ramamurthy Commission and all. So the policy was specifically on vocational education.
Ma'am, yes, the vocationalization was mentioned in those policies, but this policy also talks about the implementation of the vocationalization of education. like there's a provision that in every month a specialized skilled person like an artisan or a porter would be called to the school to teach the child about the same.
Okay, what is skilling, upskilling, reskilling?
Ma'am, skilling is when we skill someone, when we teach some kind of skill or some to the child person. Upskilling is when the person has the existing skills and we make it more pertinent to the undergo what are the developments or what are the requirements of the market, according to which we give them more skills. And reskilling is that the old skills have become essentially obsolete and some new skills have to be taught to the person.
Okay, my final question to you, Vandita. Why this no detention policy has been rolled back?
Ma'am, no detention policy has been rolled back because there was a data, like I want to quote the data from Delhi itself, that 36% of students have failed in class 9th, whereas we see that in class 10 the national average, the average of children qualifying in Delhi is much higher than the national average. So we see that although we see the results in class 10th and 12th, but the learning outcome and what a child actually knows is very much reduced at the lower levels like class 9th and class 10th, 8th. So if we need to ensure that a child learns and he knows everything and there is not a learning gap in the class, we need to ensure that the child is very much aware about the skills and teachings about in the basic education.
No detention policy pertain to which classes?
Class 5th and class 8th.
Thank you.
Vandita, the Forest Conservation Act was amended. Are you aware of the changes that have been brought in?
No, sir. I'm not sure.
Okay, no problem. What are Miyawaki forests?
So Miyawaki is a technique of urban forestry in which plants are grown in such a way that very dense forests emerge in a very small period of time.
Okay, what is the difference between a plant and a tree?
Sir, a plant is essentially smaller in height and the stem of the plant, although it can be woody also sometimes, but it is very thin in diameter, whereas the trees have a larger diameter of stem.
Okay, so in the initial stages, can we call, say for example, if we take the example of mango. So initially it will be a plant of mango and eventually it will become a tree of mango. Is it so?
No, sir, I would like to change. A plant would be everything like herb, shrub or tree, everything would be called a plant in that case.
Okay. So in the preparations of the Mahakumbh that is being organized in Prayagraj, the civil administration has developed Miyawaki forests.
Yes, sir.
To clean the air of the surroundings and to maintain a beautiful landscape. Using such innovative solutions, how we can improve the quality of urban life?
So Miyawaki forest can be very much potent in in building urban forest and urban forestry. And there is also a scheme like Nagar Van scheme where we are planting trees and to increase the tree cover of the areas. So these trees are very much, while planting, it is also ensured that what kind of minerals or what kind of pollutants they are consuming, and they are also removing it from the atmosphere.
So you talked about the Nagar Van scheme. Have we decided on any target as to how many Nagar Vans we are planning to establish?
Sorry, sir, I'm not sure about the number.
Okay, no problem. You are a student of zoology. What are zoonotic diseases?
So zoonotic diseases are the diseases which are essentially present in the animals and incidentally they get transferred to the humans.
Okay. So post 2019, we are witnessing the occurrence of infectious diseases continuously, every year, and sometimes more than once in a year. We get to see a new variant of an infectious disease, say for example COVID. So are these zoonotic diseases?
Yes, sir. Zoonotic diseases are being on the rise according to a report of National. I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, leave the agency. What is the observation of this agency?
The observation was that the 75% of the occurring and reoccurring infections are zoonotic in nature.
Mm-hmm.
So the zoonotic diseases are being on the rise in the last decade.
Okay, very recently India has reported some of the infections relating to HMPV.
Yes, sir.
What is this?
So HMPV is human metapneumovirus, and it is a virus which was discovered in Netherlands in 2001. But right now, the cases of the new variant of HMPV are on rise globally, and some cases have also been found in India also.
Okay, so incidentally, this particular outbreak is reportedly believed to have started from China. So is it just a matter of coincidence that every new virus is emanating from China, or this is by design?
So although there are various theories about this, but essentially what WHO says and what most of the agencies say, since the influenza virus and the cold area of the China coincides very much, that can be one of the reasons that we see most of the rise of the such influenza viruses from China.
Okay, my last question to you, what is gene therapy?
So gene therapy is a kind of therapy where a gene is used to cure some diseases which were said to be incurable and which are caused due to alteration or deletion or some mismanagement of the gene.
So how this particular type of treatment is given? Like how we give treatment to a patient?
So sir, in most of the cases, we use a viral vector which acts as the carrier of our required gene. Through this viral vector, we enter our gene of target, and this gene.
Okay, can cancer also be cured by gene therapy?
Sir, I'm not sure if there is any latest development in this.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes. What maternity benefit are there in the Constitution?
In the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, according to DPSP, there is a provision that there should be a maternity benefits for all the women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not able to recall that specific article number.
No issue article, but what benefits are there? That at least you point out.
So I'm not able to recall that.
Anyway, you must have gone through today's newspaper.
Sir, I didn't got it.
Yesterday's?
Yes, sir.
Then Supreme Court has mentioned some benefits for the girl child in education. What are that?
So I missed that news, sorry.
Okay, anyway. Have you heard about the JPC meetings held day before yesterday?
Yes, the Joint Parliamentary Committee.
So, what was the topic and what was the outcome of that?
Sir, I missed that news, sorry.
Anyway, what is the difference between literacy versus education?
So, literacy is about the skills and the education is a more wider term where we talk about the overall learning of the individual. Literacy is mostly occur in the formal settings of the school, whereas education occurs in almost all the arenas of a person's life.
Are you clear of that?
Yes, sir, I think
Anyway, what's your belief in living relationship?
So, live-in relationships, though they are a new thing for our Indian society and culture, but in my personal view, if there are two consenting adult individuals and they are mature enough to make such decisions, that in that case, live-in relationships are fine.
Supreme Court has come up with certain decisions on that.
Yes, sir.
Do you know?
So one case was that they gave the legal status to live-in relationships. In another case, the child born out of live-in relationships was given the legitimate status. And it was also there was a case where the Domestic Violence Act was found to be applicable in live-in relationships as well.
My last question. How do you see the position of women in the third tier government? And what changes you are going to make out in terms of policy implementation when you will be an IAS officer?
Sir, in third tier government, India has a 35%. There's 35% representation of women in third tier government, whereas on the 45%. I'm so sorry, sir. Whereas on the global level, it is only 35%. So in that case, India is definitely leading. But sir, it is not only the matter of numbers that we see on the paper. On the ground level, we also hear of such cases of Sarpanchpati, and where the women actually don't have the required capacity and the leadership qualities to act as the Sarpanch of the government. In that case, there can be many of the changes that can be brought. One thing can be of the reskilling and capacity building of the female Sarpanches. And this has also been done by various NGOs and also the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, where they are teaching the women and skilling the women so that they can independently make decisions in there.
Yeah.
Hello, Vandita.
Hello.
In one of your answers, you mentioned that Delhi is infamously known as rape capital, right? So, what do you think? Are the laws that has been made by the government, they are not deterrent enough?
Ma'am, to ensure that the laws are deterrent enough, there is also a component of society which is involved during the implementation of laws. Only the laws are not able to reform the entire scenario. There also has to be a parallel social change that needs to be brought in. The main core of such incidents is the patriarchy, the imbibed patriarchy and gender inequality and use of violence. So till the time we don't address that situation, laws would not be very effective. Second, also how these laws are being implemented. In most of these cases, we see there is a very high underreporting of cases in case of sexual violence against women, and it becomes more lower when the violence is inflicted by someone from the family. So most of the cases don't even reach the police stations. That is one of the issue. Second is when the gender sensitization of the police forces is very low. That is why women, they feel very difficult to approach the police officials. That can be one of the reasons that the laws are not being very effective till now.
All right. So you, in your answer, you mentioned the society, right? Or sort of a campaign that could be run. Any specific suggestion any innovative suggestion of yours that how we can implement through that society?
Ma'am, I don't know if the solution is innovative or not, but I generally believe that this thought of gender equality, and this has to be imbibed into the education of the students. If we don't educate our students enough about the gender equality, this vicious cycle of gender inequality and violence will continue.
All right. You also mentioned about traffic congestions,
Yes, ma'am.
right? How do you see the contribution of Delhi metro system in solving the traffic congestion?
Ma'am, Delhi Metro has a very cumulative impact on the overall scenario of the Delhi and also on the traffic system as well. It has led to the decongestion of most of the roads, although we still see quite a lot of traffic, but sometimes I think that if metro was not there, what would have happened? So that is, and recently there was also a news that Delhi Metro touched the mark of 25 lakh passengers per day recently. So in that case, if we see, it has proven to be a major game changer.
But there are also instances where we see overcrowding of the metro.
Yes, ma'am, that is true.
So any solution how we can overcome that limitation of metro?
Ma'am, by expanding the network of the metro, which the government is recently working also upon, can be one of the solutions. Second can be by increasing the frequency of the metro trains. That can also be done.
Also, okay. And my last question: as an administrator, how would you handle the population pressure that has been put in Delhi?
Ma'am, the population, although the total fertility rate of the India is now on the decrease, and the population is set to be decreasing by 2050. The ongoing programs, they need to be ensured that they undergo and they don't lapse behind. I'm sorry, ma'am, can you please repeat the question?
As an administrator, how would you handle the rising pressure, population pressure, which is put on Delhi?
On Delhi. Ma'am, Delhi suffers from the overcrowding, although the total fertility rate in Delhi is only 1.6 compared to the national average of 2.1. The most of the population pressure that we face is because of the in-migration and the migration that comes from the nearby states. To address that, there needs to be a cumulative approach. One can be that if in most of the case we follow the urban concept, rural plus urban, so that the urban facilities are also provided in the rural areas. In that way, the pressure of migration would fall in India to Delhi. And second would be to ensure that the migrants, they have a dignified life and the quality of life is not affected. Delhi can work on improving the residential DDA and schemes, residential DDA schemes, so that everyone has the...
All right, thank you.
Mandita, I can see that you have a very interesting interest in knowing about origin of life, isn't it? The origin of life is one of the most fascinating and debated topics not only in science but also in your philosophy. Could you share some of the theories about the origin of life?
So the origin of life, the theories are very interesting in this case. The first theory is definitely the religious theories, where we see that there was the involvement of God in the building of the earth and the life on the earth. Second was the theory of abiogenesis, and this was supported by a lot of scientists like Aristotle and Epicurus. So this theory says that the origin of life is from abiotic or the non-living components of the things. For example, Aristotle made an observation.
I got your point. Come to other theories.
So the next theory is theory of biogenesis, which the life came from life only. But this theory again didn't give us evidence of where did the life came from. Although they were saying that the hen came from the egg, but from where did the egg and the hen came, they were not able to explain. And then with more of the scientific explanations in the hand, we came to the modern theory of biochemical biogenesis.
There is a theory called primordial soup theory. Have you heard about that?
Yes, sir.
What does it say?
So the primordial soup theory says that in the older earth, these oceans, they act as the primordial soup, since there were a lot of complex chemicals, both organic and non-organic in the earth, and from there was a formation of there were carbon components, then the carbohydrates, then fatty acids, and from there the protein.
Wonderful. One last question before we let you go. What is this RNA world hypothesis?
So the RNA world hypothesis says that although now we see that most of the organisms have DNA as their genetic material, but at the time of the origin of life, RNA would have been the major genetic component, which have been prominent as well. The reason for this is that RNA is much simpler in the chemical composition, and hence it makes more sense that the organism has moved from the simpler to the complex, hence RNA would have been the genetic material.
Okay, thank you very much, Vandita. It was nice interacting with you. Your interview is over. You may go now.
Thank you, sir. May I come in, sir?
Come. Sit down, Vandita. When is your interview?
16th of January.
16th. Which attempt is this?
So third attempt.
Third attempt. And first
interview.
Okay. How was your experience with us today?
Sir, I could feel the nervousness coming in my answers, and I could feel that I was very shaky. And
it was there, and it's quite natural also. So don't get unnecessarily worried on that count, because it's very natural that you are going to face such an interview, which is a life-changing experience, isn't it?
yes, sir.
So, but nervousness, just work on that, and nervousness will be there. It's quite natural, but it should not appear on your face. That's the only thing. You have to work on that only. Otherwise, answer-wise, we try to ask you questions on variety of issues. Answer-wise, you appear to be very, very good. Very good in the sense that most of your answers were excellent in category, because whatever arguments you put forth, those arguments were based on evidences, supported by facts, figures, and that makes the quality of your argument all the more important. So maintain that wherever such questions are asked, because what questions will be asked, nobody can guarantee you.
Yes,
but the way you responded to questions speaks volumes about your qualities of both head and heart. So we have no doubt in your mind that when you go for the interview, you will get very good marks. Just maintain your cool, maintain your composure, collect your ideas, thoughts before responding, and respond the way you have responded today. You know, the whole purpose of this personality test is not to test your knowledge.
Yes, sir.
You must be aware of that. Just to judge various aspects of your personality. The various aspects, when I say, there are 2, 3, 4 important aspects which get a lot of weightage. So first is your integrity. personal honesty. That is very important. So honesty of purpose has to be there in all your statements. Meaning thereby, whatever you speak, it should be based on your knowledge. Any statement based on conjectures or guesswork or surmises will not help you. I was happy to see that some of the questions you said, sorry sir, I have not read. That is how it should be. Instead of making a guess and then getting into it, it's always better to say, I don't know. That speaks again volumes about your personal honesty and your ethical values. Maintain that. Balanced views, most of the questions, wherever we wanted your views were quite balanced. Again, maintain that balance of judgment. Then your communication skill is excellent. Whatever you wanted to convey, whatever you wanted to speak, it came to us very clearly. So we are very confident in your expressions and your intonation, the tone of the manner in which you speak and all that. Very good. Nothing to suggest to you on all that. Then finally, try to be a patient listener. Try to know the intent of the question asked, so that you don't have even a single occasion to ask a counter question from a board member. Sir, could you repeat, or madam, could you repeat that?
Yes, sir.
Just try to. And if at all you have not been able to appreciate the question, with all humility, you can say, madam, I have not been able to understand the question properly. For my benefit, if you could repeat it again, I shall feel privileged. That kind of a thing. So that your humility should not be compromised.
Yes, sir.
That is there. Then again, general topics which you should be preparing, you may get, may not get, that nobody can guarantee. Delhi itself is a subject by itself.
Yes, sir.
So one is your history of Delhi. We did not ask you questions on history. History, I hope you have prepared that. Then your issues, we have all, by and large, discussed everything. AQI is poor air quality is another big issue. So what is your opinion, whether the state government or the neighboring states' initiatives taken during the month of winter are enough to control it? If it is not enough, then what is your suggestion? Prepare a brief on that. You probably may get. First thing is general AQI, what you mean, what are different this thing. Then your how do you deal with the AQIs and all that. So those general things may be asked. The GRAP I was referring to. Then metro we discussed. RRTS has also been inaugurated. So RRTS, what is its significance and how it is going to help reduce congestion of Delhi traffic. Then the difference between NCR and city you must be aware. Then issues between the state and center, that is very important. That you should also prepare. And should Delhi be declared a full-fledged state or not? Your arguments must be supported by facts and this thing, because you have to keep the uniqueness of Delhi in mind while giving your point of view. Freebies culture, you have to prepare on freebies culture also. That is very important. Otherwise, newspaper in any case you must have been reading, just 3-4 days, 5 days, whatever little time is there. Just look at the headlines so that you are abreast with the current affairs. International affairs, due to paucity of times, we did not ask you too many questions, but you know what are the issues, the burning issues. So you should be fully prepared to respond to questions asked. Your hobbies are very interesting, women-centric issues.
Yes, sir.
So whatever schemes we asked you, what is the definition of women empowerment by the United Nations? There is a UN Charter also on that.
Yes, sir.
How does it define? How do we define it? What are the laws, legislations made for the protection? What are the schemes launched for the protection? What is your definition of women empowerment? Is financial independence enough to empower women, or something more is required? Then your reservation policy and all that at different levels and all that recent one. And the new your 498A of IPC is very much in the news. So prepare on that also. With all that, and your origin of life is another very interesting topic, and I am happy to see that you are fully prepared to answer any questions related to that. So there should not be any problem. So whatever little time is there, just work on that. And the basic ethos which I have said, that no compromise with your ethical values. If you are able to maintain all that, you will be getting a fantastic marks in the interview, no doubt about that. And if you have done well in your mains examination, interview will pull you up, not pull you down. That is our assessment of your performance. Wish you all the best. If you have any questions in your mind, feel free to ask.
Thank you, sir.
All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.